Okay, we're in chapter 39. I'm going to try to do 39 and 40 together because it's a continuation of what the questions that God asks of Job. He's really just it feels almost like a railing on him, saying, yes, you're righteous, you are, but you don't understand everything. And it's okay if we don't understand everything. In this day and age, we think we've got to know everything. And I love science. I've loved when I've helped teach science and things like that. And love working with these things. But they don't go anywhere near what the Lord has in store for us. We are so far below the Lord, and that's what he's trying to teach him is don't try to say that you're so important that the Lord is concentrating just on you. You're important to him. Every person is important individually, but don't think that because you've faced a trial that you understand God and why he's doing what he's doing. Knowest thou the time when the wild goats of the rock bring forth, or canst thou mark when the hinds do calve? Canst thou number the months that they fulfill, and knowest the time when they bring forth? So it's basically just talking about, do you understand everything about the wild goats and the things that are there? Do you even know when they're going to be having their young ones? Are you there for that? They're wild goats. They're off in the mountains. They bow themselves and bring forth their young, and they cast out their sorrows. Their young ones are in good liking. They grow up with corn, and they go forth and return not unto them. I just highlighted that because I like it, because it reminds me our children are growing up and going forth, and they return not. Actually, they do return, but they don't stay in our house very long after they've grown up. That's why I put that in that respect. Okay. Who hath sent out the wild ass free? Who hath loosed the bands of the wild ass? Now, remember going through and thinking of it as the creation. We've created the earth. We've created the water on the earth. We've created clouds and everything else in the last chapter. And now he's talking about the animals and what they do, the creation of the animals. Whose house I have made the wilderness, and the barren land his dwellings. He scorneth the multitude of the city, neither regardeth he the crying of the driver. The range of the mountains is his pasture. He searcheth every green thing. And will the unicorn, and if you just look on unicorn, I don't want to dash anybody's dreams, but it usually means buffalo or bison, will be willing to serve thee, or will the unicorn be willing to serve thee, or abide by thy crib? Canst thou bind the unicorn with his band in the furrow, or will he harrow the valleys after thee? Wilt thou trust him because his strength is great, or wilt thou leave thy labor to him? Are you just going to let him go off and do these things? No, you have to guide him. If you're gonna have him work for you, you need to guide him. He's not gonna go out and furrow the ground for you. You have to be behind him, doing the furrowing and making sure he's walking in that straight line. Wilt thou trust him wilt thou believe him that he will bring home thy seed and gather it into thy barn? Is he going to do that? No. You need to do that. You may use him as a tool, but he's not going to be the one. He doesn't have the understanding you do of those things. The same with the Lord. He will guide you. But there are things that he does that you can't do yourself, and this unicorn is bison. They need that guidance. Give us thou goodly wings unto the peacocks. Now he's going back to the animals, and again he's gone from animals to birds, and it happens in the creation story as well, doesn't it? Give us thou the goodly wings unto the peacocks, or the wings and feathers unto the ostrich, which leaveth her eggs on the earth, and warmeth them in dust, and forgetteth that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beasts may break them. She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear. Because God hath deprived her of wisdom, neither hath he imparted her understanding. This is kind of talking about the peacock or the ostrich, how they still survive, they still live, but they're not thinking all the time about, they're not got the wisdom or the understanding to go, oh, well, that was a dumb place to put my eggs, or something like that. That's what I'm getting from it. And maybe we're the same, where because we don't have the same understanding, we can't say to God, well, that is your fault. What time she lifteth up herself on high, she scorneth the horse and his rider. Hast thou given the horse strength? Are you that wonderful that you can go, okay, I give you the strength. I'm the one that gives you the strength. Hast thou clothed his neck with thunder? Hast thou made him afraid as a grasshopper? The glory of his nostrils are terrible. Now, this I feel is an interesting way of describing it. He's saying, you ride horses. Horses do a lot for you, but you don't give them that strength to do that. They already have that strength. You just guide that strength. And he pauseth in the valley, and rejoiceth in his strength. He goeth on to meet the armed men. He mocketh at fear, and is not affrighted. Neither turneth he back from the sword. The quiver rattleth against him, and the glittering spear, and the shield. He swalloweth up the ground with fierceness and rage. Neither believe he that is the sound of the trumpet. Saith he among the trumpets, ha ha! I love that. I just love the fact they put ha ha in there. And he smote battle afar off in thunder of the captains. They're still talking about the horse, remember? And up to this point, it was just sort of like, this is a war horse they're talking about, and you train him to be able to take those things and fight in battle, and all the strength that they have. Does it come because we give them strength, or is it because they are strong from the Lord? Doth the hawk fly by thy wisdom, and stretch forth her wings toward the south? Did you make it be able to fly? I don't think so. Doth the eagle mount up at thy command and make her nest on high? No, it happens through me. She dwelleth and abideth in the rock, upon the crag of the rock and strong place. From thence she seeketh prey, and her eyes behold afar off. Her young ones also suck up blood, and where the slain are, there she is. So it goes back to that battle. After the battle's over, that's where the eagle's going to be. I'm just going to go through chapter 40 as well. Moreover, the Lord answered Job and said, shall he that contendeth with the Almighty instruct him? Now he's getting right down to the point. I've done all these things. Are you going to start instructing me? He that reproveth God, let him answer it. Okay? What do you have to answer for yourself? What can you say? And Job answered God and said, behold, I am vile. He's starting to understand what the problem is. What shall I answer thee? Will I lay mine hand upon my mouth? Once I have spoken, but I will not answer. Yea, twice I will proceed no further. He said, I really don't have an answer. I'm sorry. I understand now. You are much greater than I can even imagine. Then answered the Lord unto Job out of the whirlwind, and said, gird up thy loins now, like a man. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. Wilt thou also disannul my judgment? Wilt thou condemn me, that thou mayest be righteous? I love the fact here. This, again, is so in our day. Are we going to condemn God so that we can be righteous? How many people have I heard say, well, this or this about God would never do that. So and as soon as they do that, they're trying to make themselves more righteous. God would never do this towards this people or that people or this people. So they're condemning God rather than worshiping God, so that they seem more righteous. They're right because they are living a certain way, although they don't follow God's laws. Hast thou an arm like God, or canst thou thunder with a voice like him? Deck thyself now with majesty. Now I put these in green, but he is going to put a point to this besides just that. Deck thyself with majesty and excellency, and array thyself with glory and beauty. Cast abroad the rage of my wrath, and behold everyone that is proud and abase him. Canst thou do can you do the same thing? If you dressed up the best you could, can you make people that are proud abase themselves? Look on every one that is proud, and bring him low, and tread down the wicked in their place, and hide them in the dust together, and bind their faces in secret. Kind of saying, well, just try it. Just, try your best. Do you think you can do that? Then will I confess unto thee that thine own right hand can save thee. If you can do these things, if you are so strong and wonderful, and everybody's going to just bow down to you, in a sense, because you were able to do all this stuff, then maybe you can save yourself. Now he does an interesting thing here. He talks about a behemoth and later a leviathan. Behold now behemoth, and it talks about that it might be like an well, let's just read here. It can't hurt to read. In his own words to Job, the Lord mentioned two large creatures, behemoth and leviathan, that symbolize untamable forces of nature. The Hebrew word behemoth is a plural form of beast. In the book of Job, the word is used to describe a large land animal, possibly a poetic reference to hippopotamus or some mythical beast. A leviathan is a large sea creature. The word is possibly used as a poetic depiction of a crocodile or mythological creature described in ancient Canaanite texts. The Lord referred to these creatures to help Job understand the great power of God that God has over all of his creations. Which I made with thee, he eateth grass as ox. Lo, now his strength is in his loins, his force is in the navel of his belly. He moveth his tail like a cedar, the sinews of his stones are wrapped together. His bones are as strong pieces of brass. His bones are like bars of iron. He is the chief of the ways of God. That he that made him can make his sword approach unto him. Surely the mountains bring him forth food, where all the beasts of the field play. He lieth under the shady trees, in the covert of the reed and fens. The shady trees cover him with their shadow, and the willows of the brook compass him about. Behold, he drinketh up the water and hasteneth not. He trusteth that he can draw up Jordan into his mouth. He taketh it with his eyes. His nose pierceth through snares. So it's given this idea that this is such a big beast, and can you control him? Don't think so. And where's the Leviathan? We mentioned a Leviathan as well. That's in this chapter, which we're not going to read because it just basically tells you the same thing. The Lord points his power to a Leviathan. All things under the whole heaven are the Lord's. And that is where we're going to end today. That is what we're talking about. Now we're going to see what happens because of this instruction from the Lord in the next chapter.